Hi. I obviously love Toy Story. I don't know if you guys can see my Woody the cowboy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
pulled
yeah,
out
yeah.
there. So I always liked Woody, but I love space. So Lightyear is a fun little nostalgia film to kind of dive into. And so to start, Angus, I wanted to know, what was it about Buzz Lightyear, the man, that inspired you to kind of want to tackle Toy Story from this angle?
Well, having worked on several of the Toy Story films, I'd always been connected to and interested in Buzz Lightyear because I liked the sci-fi films that it was kind of referencing. But I always felt like we had never really explored the backstory of Buzz Lightyear and what the Space Ranger were like, what Star Command was like, and what a fairly serious sci-fi action epic would look like for Buzz. So after I was working on Finding Dory, looking to do the next project, I just wondered if we could do a fun sci-fi adventure, but with Buzz Lightyear. And it would be not really a Toy Story movie, it would be a separate film, but it would just be branching off of that. And hopefully very quickly into the film, you would get into this epic sci-fi adventure, and it would just allow Buzz to explore, we would be exploring the Buzz Lightyear character and his universe.
Yeah, and Galyn, so you're a producer on this. Was there any hesitation ever? Because a lot of the Toy Story generation is now my age. We're all adults,
Right.
and we all are very protective of the Toy Story world. And so even though it is different, it is still Buzz. So was there any hesitation there? Were you always kind of excited to see this story come to life?
Definitely, I was always excited. I love sci-fi, and also having worked on all of these, Toy Story pieces, whether they be the films or the shorts or the television specials. I've got an affinity for Buzz for sure. I think the interesting thing is that if you talk to 10 people who've seen Toy Story and you ask them what Buzz's backstory would be, they would give you 10 different stories. They would tell you 10 different things. So very quickly, we had to let go of trying to find what the story is that everybody would expect and just tell a story that's great. And just if we can get the audience to say, wow, that was awesome, that was fun, they'll forgive us for not telling their version of Buzz's backstory.
Yeah, it is very fun. I do have to ask, Thomas, so like myself, I know Chris Evans is a huge space nerd. And so I'm assuming throughout this project, because you were a consultant on it, that you had plenty of questions about space being tied in. So what were some fun stories you got to kind of share during the process of consulting on Lightyear?
Oh boy, just general life in space, in particular, what it's like to work with a team, a highly functioning team, I would say a highly functioning family, with all the ups and downs. I had crewmates with me, 6 crewmates most of the time up on the space station. You're living in a size of a small home for half a year together. So telling all those stories, telling what it's like, the awe of going out a hatch on a spacewalk, what it's like to see space, see the Earth from space, what it's like to be responsible for a lot of scientists' work on board the space station, and to see their scientific work come into fruition as we work in the laboratory of the space station. So just related all those things, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of thrilling moments. And so that was fun to talk about those things.
And Angus, going back a bit, yes, this is sci-fi, and it is, I believe you've compared it to like Andy's Star Wars in a way, like the way that he looks at Buzz.
Mm-hmm.
But so does that mean that in Andy's world, all of these characters, like Taika's character and the ones that we see on screen, are also just as big, meaning like I could have a Taika toy if I really wanted it, like in the future?
Yeah, like are you saying like a Taika toy styled like the Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story?
Oh.
Yeah, that makes, I hadn't thought about that. But yes, that makes sense. I mean, it would be neat to see what the Taika, what Mo would look like in the Toy Story Buzz stylization.
Yeah,
that's
because
a
it
neat
is
idea.
different.
Yeah, because the way I thought about it was there was the movie in the Toy Story universe. There's the movie, and then there's maybe some sequels or whatever. But then that becomes an offshoot TV show that has slightly more 2D designs, and that's what inspired the Toy Story toy, just because they have just different stylization levels. So yeah, I guess you could imagine that there would be a whole nother. That's a great idea. Cool.
Great. So when I go into Disney and see it, I'll be like,
that.
this is
Yeah.
But so with all of that, obviously we've had this movie, and now in the future, if there's other Lightyear projects, we
Mhm.
kind of know it is all tied into one world.
Mhm.
Are there any other stories within the Toy Story characters that you kind of want to tell from different genres? Because like obviously we have a Western with Woody,
Mhm.
and we have Rex, who he's just a T-Rex toy, but he could have a whole Jurassic Park storyline that we don't know about.
Well, it takes so much work to do any one of these films, and I was most passionate about uh, this story and Buzz Lightyear, as it is the character I've most been enamored with and connected to in the Toy Story universe. I suppose it's possible, but for us,
For us, sci-fi is where it's at. We just want
I
to.
mean, you're right for that,
Yeah,
but I had to ask.
thank you, thank you.
What I do have a question. So like obviously Chris Evans is a huge Disney fan, and like fans of his know that.
Uh-huh.
What was the process like finding your Buzz and finding it specifically in Chris Evans?
Oh, great. Yeah. Well, it started with us. We met with him before we cast him. We invited him to Pixar, and he came up and spent the day, and we pitched him the movie, and he was really excited about it. And you could just see that there was, because there's we were familiar with his work, but we wanted to see, he wanted to kind of see what was this thing? Like he didn't quite figure it out. And then we kind of want to see like, would this work together? What our goal was to have a separate thing from Toy Story. And in the idea that even in the Toy Story cartoon, of the Buzz Lightyear cartoon before, like Tim Allen didn't do the voice of that like it's very much a different thing. We wanted to separate it because there's so much confusion about, is this the toy? Is this the thing? Like, what's the way to go? And so for us, Chris was the right balance of serious action hero, but with comedic potential and without making the character feel goofy. Buzz is not the main character in Toy Story, so he can be a little dumber. He can be a little bit clueless and well-meaning, but kind of, just sort of clueless, goofier.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't work so great as a main character. And so by making him a main character and making the film have importance where you're worried about the character's safety, we needed to maintain the comedy of the Buzz idea of him not being in step with reality and the characters around him, but also have a gravitas and a seriousness that would be appropriate for a hard sci-fi film. And Chris was really our first and only choice for that. And when we were working with him, right away, I'm like, you're not impersonating Tim Allen. Like, just you're going to find your voice. We both have a baritone voice. Go a little lower like this. You're talking about the mission log like this. But then when he's talking to his friends, like, come on. So it's a difference between the low voice and the high voice. But he could just do it. And the most exciting thing about Chris's performance, and because he's so affable and friendly, he seems like he's really disarming. But when push comes to shove, his technical ability is really, really amazing. In fact, in the scene where he's hanging upside down, the character's hanging upside down by a robot, we showed him the scene just animated, and he did all the vocals of the in one take, where we turned the sound down, and he would just make the vocals of him getting dragged around. And we just took the whole audio track and slid it 8 frames earlier, because it was just the reaction time of him seeing and reacting to it. And that's the first take is amazing. So he is at technical level is amazing. He's wonderful to work with. And it was the ideal person to create this new version of the iconic character of Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, it's exciting because, like I said, obviously I'm a Woody fan, so like Buzz
Sure.
was always kind of like, oh sure, Buzz is fine, whatever. But it was like it made me like Buzz Lightyear. So
Awesome.
it was cool. I was like, oh, I get it now. I get why he would want that toy. And so for you guys, what do you hope audiences get to take away when they see Lightyear? Since we care a lot about these characters.
Sure.
That's exciting.
Well, we care too. I mean, but we were looking at it through different lens. It's funny how the way you describe your relationship with Woody, because that's the way I feel about Buzz, and the opposite. Like I'm like with the Toy Story movies, I'm like, yeah, cowboy. Let's get back to the space guy. So it's great to see. Like, I totally relate to what you're saying. But for us, like, we just the whole goal of what we want is that at the end of the movie, people are like, that was awesome, and I had a great time. The sense of propulsion, narrative propulsion for this movie is really what we wanted to give to the audience, and the community experience of seeing it in a theater with a group of people and reacting that way. It's wonderful to get to do that. It's a totally different thing seeing it alone. And so it's been our greatest joy at this point doing the press tour, finally getting to see with an audience. And that's been really wonderful. But please, you
No, you got it. That was great. Yeah, you're on it.
Well, I think that's all my time. Thank you
Thank
guys
you.
so much.
Thank
I can't
you.
wait for everyone to get to see
Thank
Lightyear.
you. Love the
Thank
Mary
you.
Sue. It's great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Have a great one.
Thank you.